Hey guys, welcome to another episode of our Gridiron Football Player of the Week show. I'm your host, Jace Lejeune, and I'm reunited, and it feels so good with Alex Allison, right? After missing last week, I had to do it solo by myself. It didn't really feel right last week doing it by myself, but I'm rejoined by Alex Allison, also one of our beat writers here at Gridiron Football. Alex, welcome back, buddy, and looking forward to breaking down the regular season finale of our Gridiron Football Player of the Week.
Yeah, it's great to be back. Of course, this has been one of my favorite parts of the week every week, and getting back to talking about some great players. And this is a really interesting week because it's the final week of the regular season. So things are going to start looking a little bit different when we get into the playoffs.
Mm,
Because just starting this week, you have like half of the teams that are playing this week that were playing in the previous
yeah.
week. In
Mm-hmm.
the competitions, you're going to keep having fewer and fewer games.
Mm-hmm.
So one of the interesting things about this week is it's the final chance for some of these teams that maybe don't make the playoffs, or maybe it's their last chance against a team that they're not heavily underdogs against in round
Mm-hmm.
one of the playoffs to make a run and have a great performance. And we actually saw that with maybe one or a couple of the players this week as well, that in maybe their last chance this season they really made that chance count. And so this is a really really fun week to talk about for sure.
Oh, absolutely, Alex. And chances are running low, as we mentioned. This is Louisiana. We're going off our base in Louisiana, so we're going off the
Right.
Louisiana schedule. But some teams in Texas and Mississippi and some, I mean, they're in playoff mode right now. So it kind of depends what state you're in. But we're right into the start of playoff play, and yeah, the less chances of these Letterman jacket patches are remaining, but we're gonna go right into it this week, Alex. Not as much as in weeks past in terms of actual submissions. I think we only had about maybe 25 this week.
Yeah.
Bad was not a bad number. It's just a little less than the 40, 50 nominations we get weekly, but you kind of expect that when there's less and less teams playing because of playoffs and other situations like that. But we have 15 nominees this week, Alex, and we start off with a pretty big name to kicking off our
Yeah.
list. And remember, all these players now they get nominated, they get selected by myself, Alex, and Daryl Felker to be in the running for Player of the Week. But these are based on voting by
Yes.
the fans to narrow down the Player of the Week. So, Alex, we have a big name starting off our list at number 15.
Absolutely. At number 15, we have Peyton Pop Houston with only 8 votes.
Yeah, only 8 votes. A little bit surprised for Peyton Houston, but he is a one of the top quarterbacks in the state of Louisiana for which would be a loaded 2027, not only in Louisiana but in the nation quarterback class. And Peyton Houston is one of those very talented ones. And you know that saying, right? Where quarterbacks get judged is based off their performance in big games. And this was a big game for Pop Houston because if Evangel can win this football game, they can probably sneak their way into the playoffs and secure a playoff spot. So it was a huge game for Evangel, and they did get it done against a really good 5A Parkway football team that will be hosting a playoff game this week. But
Mhm.
Pop Houston completed 26 of 42 passes for 439 yards and 3 touchdowns to get the win. They won the game 45-43. Evangel has been in these shootout games all year long. We tease Evangel about it because of the shootout loss against against Captain Shreve when they lost earlier this season, and Pop Houston threw for 800 yards and still lost, and 10 touchdowns and still lost. But this was a big game for this Evangel team. Down the stretch, they've been playing a lot better since that game, and getting a 3 touchdown performance, 439 yards. Just another day in the office for Pop Houston.
Yeah, this goes to show you just because the quantity of submissions went down this week, that doesn't mean the quality of them went down at
Yeah.
all. We only had 25, 30 submissions, whatever. Still had to make some really tough cuts with just how loaded some of these performances were, and this is a great example. He finishes 15th. This is a great performance. 400-yard passers in high school football are just not common at all. And so for him to go out and do this and for it to kind of feel normal for it to feel like another day at the office for Pop Houston. He's got another 2 years of this left in him at the high school level before he goes to whatever college he goes to. So that'll be a very fun story to watch for. This is, it's a little bit, getting in the playoffs in high school football usually shouldn't be as, uh, it says a lot about the situation that this Evangel team is in, that they had to win this game to make the playoffs, but it's a win and in situation. It's what you dream of. And he goes out and he balls out where he has to in a shootout win in order to make the playoffs with his team. And now, I'll let Ball in the Boot kind of leak into this ever so slightly. I will be very shocked if we don't get a Player of the Week submission from his game next week, as, of course, they take on Captain Shreve in the first round of the playoffs. After the amazing game he had against them just a few weeks ago, we're going to get to see that matchup again. Defensive coordinators, look away.
Watch out. Watch out. This is not the type of game for you if you're a defensive-minded coach. It was a offensive shootout last time these two teams played. And by the way, Alex, the shows are up. So the Ball in the Boot playoff bracket shows that myself, Alex, Daryl, and Grant Sastre of Crescent City Sports, we've all sat down at a roundtable discussion about the playoff brackets. So go check that out. You can actually find all the episodes on our website at gridironfootballusa.com. So all the episodes are listed at one spot. If you want to go and see all of our breakdowns, you want to check that out. So yeah, hopefully it's, 77-76 was the score last time between these two teams. So I'm not sure what the over-under is, but I would highly suggest to pick the over if it comes down to it. Now, Alex, let's go from Shreveport to down in New Orleans, Nolens. Let's go down there for number 14.
At number 14, we have D'Amico Barnes with 14 votes.
D'Amico Barnes plays running back. He's a senior for Booker T. Washington. Alex, there's actually two Booker T. Washingtons. There's one in New Orleans and there's one in Shreveport. So when you say Booker T. Washington, they ask you which one. And this is the one in New Orleans. So D'Amico Barnes, I would say a pretty good performance on the ground, don't you? 320 yards rushing and 4 touchdowns, and it was a little bit of a higher scoring game against Sophie B. Wright. 42-32 was the final score, but D'Amico Barnes did everything he could. Really helped carry the offense for that game. Anytime you run for 320 yards and 4 touchdowns, you deserve to win the football game. Congratulations, Booker T. Washington did. Coach Wayne Reese Jr. does a great job with that team and that program. Big win over Sophie B. Wright. And D'Amico comes in at number 14 this week with 14 votes exactly. So
with 14 votes, it's a perfect number, right? Obviously, you'd hope to get a little bit higher placement, but it's a great performance. Congratulations to him. We're going to talk a lot about running backs this week, and there are a lot of offensive players. But anytime you can get 300 yards in any game like this, that's incredible, of course. And it's one of those performances where clearly you're like the workhorse that's leading a team to victory when you're getting that many yards, that many touchdowns, in a game that is not a blowout or anything like that, a real opponent that you need to put up points on to beat. I talk about this a lot, that an elite running back performance in a close game, there are very few things that are more demoralizing than that. That are, let's say Sophie B. Wright was down by like 3 points or 6 points at some point in this game. And they're like, okay, we just need to get one more stop. And then it's 3rd and 2, 6 yards, 7 yards, 12 yards. Then he breaks one off. And it just you can't keep going with it. And he's awesome. It was a great performance. Congratulations to him, of course.
Absolutely. You mentioning running backs, right? Well, we go to another running back at number 13, another down in New Orleans too, by the way. So tell us who's number 13, Alex.
At number 13, we have Bryce Wilkerson with 23 votes.
Bryce Wilkerson from Thomas Jefferson High School, down there, go close to New Orleans area. Bryce, we mentioned him a couple of times this year on
Mhm.
this list. This isn't the first time we brought Bryce Wilkerson's name up, so he's having a pretty strong, I guess, really strong, building a strong resume for being maybe a gridiron football player of the year candidate. Was
Yeah.
just his consistency on the list, and we go look at it. Another type of day where the Jaguars definitely leaned on Bryce Wilkerson. 15 carries, 276 yards rushing, and 3 touchdowns. And this was more significant, too, by the way, because they actually defeated Javen Lewis, who we talked about last week from Fisher High School. He was a gridiron football player of the week for week 9. That's who they defeated 28-27 in that football game in a squeaker. And Bryce Wilkerson scored 3 of those 4 touchdowns to get the win. So they needed Bryce Wilkerson to do that, and he definitely deserves to be on this list. And Bryce Wilkerson making a campaign to be in the running at the end of the year.
Yeah, he's not the only one. We've talked about a couple of people that haven't quite made a launch to win a
Mm-hmm.
specific week. But and this isn't to downplay the importance of winning player of the week. It's awesome. It's super, like, it's great. But if you sometimes that's not always in the hands of just the performance, right? That's
Right,
fan support, that's voting, that's stuff like that. So there are plenty of people that haven't really even gotten that close in some of
mhm,
these weeks, but that doesn't mean that their performance is less than.
right,
There is still a threshold you have to hit to qualify for this, and if you're hitting that threshold 3, even 4 weeks during a season in high school, like Bryce Wilkerson has, and a
yeah,
couple of other people we talked about in the past, like Jonathan Dartez is one that comes to
right,
mind. You're going to start being in consideration for being on the ballot for Player of the Year, even if you don't win Player of the Week. So this still
yeah,
matters. Getting
right,
on this list still matters. So this is a great season for Bryce Wilkerson. An amazing performance. Somehow you have both the efficiency and the production in
yeah.
one game. You're hitting almost 300 yards rushing with 3 touchdowns on
15
15
carries.
carries. So that's unbelievable. That's a performance that is the difference in the game, of course,
Yeah.
when the game is that close. It's everything you want from a Player of the Week finalist. Absolutely.
Yeah, right. I mean, especially when you win the game by
Yeah.
1.2. Yeah, like they don't get there without your effort for sure. And they funny they also defeated the reigning week 9 players of the week,
Absolutely.
Javen Lewis and the Fisher Gators. We go to okay, we go back to the quarterback. So we start off with a quarterback, 2 straight running backs, and we go back to a quarterback at number 12.
At number 12, we have Desirian Ellis with 29 votes.
Desmond Ellis, if you watch Ballin' in the Boot, we talk about the playoff brackets, and he is a major reason why I picked the Franklin Parish Patriots to go to the state championship. Desiree Ellis is a great quarterback, and you can make a case probably the best in that bracket. He is that good, and they've had a Cinderella run this year. They defeated Calvary Baptist earlier this season as well. That's one of the more impressive wins this season. Desiree Ellis, what can you say about him? He's a special player. Only a junior. He still has another year left up there in Winsboro, Louisiana. We've had a lot of players from Franklin Parish that played in a gridiron football American Bowl game, including the quarterback Bryce Curtis that threw the "You Got Moss" play that made ESPN bowl game. That quarterback was from Franklin Parish. But Desiree Ellis completed. Talk about a dual threat performance: 11 of 19 for 247 yards, 4 touchdowns through the air, so 4 TDs. He also had 11 carries for 138 yards and 2 touchdowns. He's pulling up Jaden Daniels type of
Yeah.
numbers there. But he also if you combine all that, that's 385 total yards and 6 touchdowns. And now like Jaden Daniels had to do a lot at LSU. He had to carry the offense, and as the defense struggled a little bit because it was 64-48. They got the win over Tioga, but Franklin Parish ends the season winning their first ever district championship in the program's history, and they finished 9-1. Yeah, well, a little round of applause there too. But Desrin Ellis put on the cape, Superman cape
Yeah.
there with that individual performance.
Yeah, it's a Jaden Daniels performance. It's a Jonathan Dartes performance. It's
Yeah.
it is one of those Superman kind of performances. That's also a very frustrating game to watch from the opposing
Yeah.
view because I mean your offense is moving the ball, right? And it is one of those like games where like we're unstoppable in offense. Why are we down by 20? What?
Right.
So 6 touchdowns. This is a player we might talk about a lot more when the sample size gets smaller.
Yeah.
Because Franklin Parrish, like you said, they were your pick, and I think a couple of people's picks for making the state championship game this year.
Yeah.
So if we're talking about the semifinals where there are like 16 games going on, and one of them is him, playing Franklinton and dropping another 300-yard game. Yeah, we might be talking about him again.
Yeah.
And so this is, I think it's his first appearance on the list this season. Don't quote me on that.
It is. I think it is.
But Desrin Ellis, I wouldn't be shocked if he made one of these late runs at, maybe he's here this week, he's here in a couple of weeks, he's here in 3 weeks, and all of a sudden we're talking about maybe him as well as a player of the year.
Build his resume in this playoff run.
Building his resume in this playoff because it's the sort of bracket, it's the sort of season that might happen. And if he can keep having performances like this, he may very well be on his way to doing that. And it might be taking Franklin Parrish to one of those, Cinderella runs deep into the state championship race.
Absolutely. Well deserved for Desrin Ellis. And we're going to see how the Patriots do under Coach Burnett in the playoffs. Hopefully they can prove me right and they can make a deep run in the playoffs. But you can go and check out the division. That'll be Division 2 non-select bracket. So you want to check that out. Make sure to go to our YouTube channel and check that playoff bracket breakdown as well. We go to a wide receiver. And this is actually somebody that our number 15 guy, Peyton Houston, likes to throw the football a whole lot too. Alex, who tells us who is number 11 on our Player of the Week list.
At number 11, we have Johnny Casey with 37 votes.
Yeah, Johnny Casey is actually one of the top receivers for Evangel Christian, for Pop Houston. In fact, when Pop Houston made that list, when he threw for 10 touchdowns, 800 yards. We had a comment on YouTube saying, hey, I forgot to add Johnny Casey. He had like 250 yards receiving and like 4 touchdowns. Like, hey, I mean, we didn't get the nomination before that.
Yeah.
So, but we make sure we take care of Johnny this time around. So we make sure he deserves his flowers and they got to win, which is the more important thing as well. But we said earlier that Pop Houston threw 3 touchdowns, right? All 3 of those touchdown passes went to Johnny Casey. All 3 of them. So we had 5 catches for 163 yards and the 3 scores and getting that win over Parkway. So the communication, telekinetic communication between both those 2 players is working really good.
Yeah, absolutely. I think one of us made the comment during the video a few weeks ago talking about that Captain Shreve game for Evangel, that it's like you have a game with like 150 points in it and there was only 1 nomination for Player of the Week. Didn't quite feel right. Like whether it was like a receiver for Pop or someone for Captain Shreve. I mean, they put up 70 points too.
Yeah.
So you would think that there would be something on that front. So it doesn't shock me that there was someone saying, "Hey, wait a second, what about this guy? He definitely had a 250 yards, whatever." But yeah, it's a similar situation here. Not quite the same stupid volume as in the Captain Shreve game, but 45-43 is a great game and a very high scoring game. And so to see not just Pop but also quite possibly his number 1 target, his favorite target in Johnny Casey, putting up a performance like this, not shocking in the slightest that he's just exploding because he has one of the best quarterbacks in the state of Louisiana throwing to him, and he's not too shabby himself. No, absolutely. No. So great job by him, finally getting him a little bit of love here on this list. It's not just Pop; he's got some weapons to throw to as well.
Yep, he's definitely got some help there. We mentioned Damari Drake on the show a couple of times for Evangel Christian. Good 2-way player there. But he's got some help, and Johnny Casey's been a dependable wide receiver, dependable option for Pop Houston, and he makes this list. And Alex, this actually starts a run. We go inside our top 10, but this starts a run of 4 straight running backs in a row. You like the running back, so we're going to go back to the running backs inside our top 10.
I heard you like running back, so we got some running back with your running back. At number 10, we have Tyrese Boast with 71 votes.
Yeah, Tyrese Boast, the first time we get to shout out the Church Point Bears down there and towards the Lafayette area, right? But Tyrese Boast is the running back for them. And Church Point, if you know anything about them, they like to run the football and play smash mouth football, which will really help them as we go through the playoffs. And there's another team we talked about on our Ball in the Boot show, playoff edition show. But Tyrese Boast, another workman-like performance, Alex. 23 carries, 303 yards, and 4 touchdowns. And they decide, hey, that's working pretty good. So might as well throw it out in the flat to him. And he had a catch of 22 yards add on to that. So he scored 4 touchdowns, had over 300 yards of offense, and they won pretty big over Ville Platte, 55-28.
Yeah, we're going to have a few running back performances in a row where actually these numbers are going to start sounding a little bit pedestrian in a little bit, unfortunately. But before we get there, I do want to give the flowers to Tyrese Boast because, yeah, that's a great performance. That's a player of the week level performance. So, don't get discouraged when you start hearing some of the things we're talking about in a little bit. But yeah, so congratulations to him. A great win. That's another team that could be making a run this year in the state championship race. So this might not be the last time we talk about him, and maybe in a field where there aren't 8 million other running backs putting up those numbers.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, this is again, not to take away from him. This is a very worthy finalist for Gridiron Football Player of the Week.
And it's a performance that's something to boast about.
Hey! We should probably end the video. I don't think there's any coming back from that.
Hey guys, I'm just here all week.
You'll be here all week.
That's some jokes. Yeah, that's right. But I have them all. But yeah, we go until we finally go out of state. We talk about a bunch of Louisiana guys, but not as much out of state selections this week. But we do go across to the Mississippi. So Alex, tell us who is number 9.
At number 9, we have Glenn Singleton with 174 votes.
Yep. So we got the only representative from the SIP, like Ole Miss likes to call it, right? Lane Kiffin, they like to call it the SIP. Glenn Singleton has been another really good back. They got him in Mississippi too. They don't only have him in Louisiana. They got him in Mississippi as well. Glenn Singleton they needed it because he had 25 carries, 232 yards, 5 touchdowns. That's a pretty good day at the office when you're on for 5 touchdowns in one game. The team itself only scored 7, so he scored 5 of those 7 touchdowns, and they won 49-39 over Clinton, Mississippi. So that was a big-time game. Congratulations to Madison Central, Glenn Singleton. Another workman-like performance. We've seen a lot of these, and not only racking up the yards to over 230, but racking up the touchdowns too with 5.
Technically, this is actually tied for 8th in terms of just number of votes. But we went ahead and listed him first because, again, the people we're about to talk about actually even made this performance look kind of pedestrian. Somehow. That, again, the same thing with Tyrese Boast, not to take away from what he did. Very important, especially sometimes we're missing the context when talking about like an out-of-state team. But it doesn't really matter who the opponent is or who, what the stakes are. When you win a game by 10 points, 49-39, and you score 5 of the team's 7 touchdowns, you're the reason why the team won the game.
Yeah.
And this is oftentimes the case for a running back that just racks up the touchdowns and racks up the yards and racks up everything. It's a great performance. It is an awesome, awesome performance. Don't forget that in like 30 seconds when you hear what we're about to talk about.
Yeah, Glenn Singleton's a really good back.
Really good player.
And he's been a really good player for him. I think we've actually called his name maybe a couple of
Maybe.
times this year. He
Maybe.
might be one of those other guys we talk about at the end of the year, maybe for a player of the year candidate. But like Alex mentioned, I was going to mention to it next, but he did mention it. So there was actually a tie here. We haven't really seen many of these this year with votes. So Glenn Singleton at 174. This next running back also had 174. But in this instance where there is a tie, we do break the tiebreaker. So with the performance on the field. So you're saying what beats 230 yards and 5 touchdowns? Like Alex,
Well,
tell us who is at number 8.
number 8, we have Jaden Miles, also with 174 votes.
And I was also there in person to see this. So
Yeah.
that is another thing that, I mean, you
Sorry,
don't
Glenn.
think much of with Jaden Miles. But, yeah, I mean, let's just say not a lot of defense being played in this football game, right?
Very
73 to
different from Zachary's game the previous week.
Yeah, opposite of that. Like the opposite of when Alex went to go see Central and Zachary, just say the opposite of that. So yeah, this time it was the offense, the defense didn't step up, but there's been a lot of great running backs at Catholic High, Alex. There's been Claude Edwards-Helaire, there's been Darius Geis, Warren Dunn played quarterback for Catholic High, Kevin Franklin, Travis Minor, you name it. Catholic's known for the running back position. They got a pretty good one coming up. His name is Jaden Miles. He's only a sophomore, and he's already got Division I offers already. He's a sophomore, and already he's broke a record for Catholic High for most touchdowns in one game, most points accounted for by an individual in one game as well. So his numbers, okay, go back and look at it. He had 179 yards rushing, which is a little bit fewer than someone on the list, but he had 7 touchdowns in the football game and a 2-point conversion. He had 6 rushing, 1 receiving, and he threw a Tebow jump pass for a 2-point conversion. So that was the other thing he did. So he did everything. He had a hat trick that night. And Jaden Miles, they do run the Wildcat with him, and I do not argue with Hudson Fuller on that. Giving him the football, he is a stud, and he's going to be a good one. So I was there in person. It was a very impressive performance. Got a chance to talk to him after the game. Very impressive young man as well. He is a special one, and yeah, he's going to be a good one for Catholic, and already he sets a Catholic High individual record.
Yeah, I believe Catholics had a little bit of like a QB almost rotation this season, if I'm not mistaken. Like, there's been some question about who the QB1 is. I think we know who the real QB.
Nobody's talking about Baylor Graves from that game. He set a Catholic High passing yards record, and nobody's talking about it.
That's where all the yards went.
Yep.
If you're wondering how someone has 174 rushing yards and 7 touchdowns, it's because that happened in the same game. But I think we know who and I also feel bad making this joke now after learning that also set the passing record in a single game.
Yeah.
But we know who the real QB1 is, right? It's Jaden Miles at running the Wildcat. Yeah. No, jokes aside though, it was it 68-55 or 76-55? What was the final score again?
73-55.
73-55.
73-55.
I mean, yeah.
It was the longest game. I've covered some overtime games. That was the longest game I've ever covered. That took forever.
Yeah. Look, man, I've been there. I was at the Lasty Berry game a few weeks ago.
Yeah.
The Riverside game against Harlem. I mean, it's ridiculous when you're watching it. Just the feeling of being so unstoppable on the goal line and in those like short yardage situations, as well as being explosive and being able to break off long touchdown runs. Yeah, it's when you score 7 touchdowns, you score 7 touchdowns, man. There's not that much else to explain it. It's a game where they won. It's a game where they had to win to lock up a full share of the district championship. And like a few of these players, we might talk about them again a few
Oh
times
yeah.
because they're going to have some high-profile games in that bracket, the Division One select
Mhm.
bracket.
Yep.
Catholic's a really good team. They're one of those like four-ish teams that you feel
That
like
can
has a
win,
real shot,
legitimately win. Yep.
could legitimately win. Of course, they're going to have to get through it in a car. We'll get there when we get there.
Yeah.
But
I'm all in the boot.
I'm balling in the boot. But that can be very exciting because that's a really exciting Catholic team that can win in a lot of different ways, and win with just a dominant offensive performance like we saw from Jaden Miles, as well as that Catholic passing attack.
Yeah, believe it or not, though, it was somebody from that same game that was on the losing side of it that actually appears above Jaden Miles here. Alex, tell us who is number 7 on this list.
At number 7, we have Zachary running back DeVecchio Ruffin with 339 votes.
And Alex, without DeVecchio Ruffin, Catholic runs away with this football game.
Yeah.
But Ruffin, you gotta give credit to him, man. I mean, he kept on fighting, kept on playing. It was punch for punch. I was like, okay, you see, it was a track meet on grass. That's what it was between both running backs. It was a lot. It was exhausting to watch, but it was fun to watch for sure. And Ruffin deserves his flowers. Everybody, the headlines, even if you go back and look at my article I wrote about the game, the headline was about Jaden Miles. But DeVecchio Ruffin deserves his flowers for sure in this football game. He actually outran him in this football game. He ran for 298 yards in this football game, and he ran for 6 touchdowns. 13 rushing touchdowns between 2 different guys. That game was insane. So DeVecchio Ruffin's been a good player. You saw him play a couple times this year. So he's another really good running back that goes underneath the radar, under the radar, but he is a good player. And unfortunately, he was just overshadowed that night. But now on this list, he's above Jam Miles.
Yeah. He's so good. I don't know if I feel like I kind of emphasized him in the ball and in the boot video we had talking about the Central Zachary game.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if I give him enough credit in that.
Yeah.
Because he was, even in a game where Zachary scored 3 points, didn't get in the end zone, nothing like that, he looked awesome.
Yeah.
He was like the 3 points they scored was off of a drive where he was the guy moving the ball.
Up. Yeah, right.
He looked amazing in a game where they did not score a touchdown, and so to hear that if I was just told the final score and that Catholic scored a bunch of touchdowns and they won the game, told you why Zachary scored 55 points, yes, I would have told you it was because of DeVecchio Ruffin. This dude he's explosive. The contact balance is amazing. He will bounce off of tackles. He is not going down on first contact. He is an awesome, awesome player. And he's one of these guys that people just don't talk about a lot because the running back class this year is just so ridiculous. And they're like growing on trees this year, and he is absolutely one of those. Did not get the win on the scoreboard this week, but did get the win in the Player of the Week rankings, and we know which one matters more.
Yeah, we do.
Yeah, definitely. On a serious note, obviously tough loss for Zachary, losing a chance at a share of the district title.
Yeah.
And a little bit of a worse seeding because of it. But it was a great performance nonetheless. So congratulations to him.
Absolutely. He definitely deserves his flowers for that performance. But Alex, that also defeats the streak of running backs on this list. And we're going to go down to Chalmette. And man, talk about winning individual performance. We're going to talk about this young man at our number 6 spot.
At number 6, we have Jaden Williams with 615 votes.
Yeah, and Jaden Williams, I want to appreciate the Chalmette community. They've also donated a couple of times as well. Remember, you can also donate for votes. You can vote as many times as you want for free, but we also have our donations too. And if you donate to Gridiron Football, it not only goes to a great cause for scholarships for Gridiron Football All-American Bowl game for MVPs at the end of the game, but that will go towards voting as well. So every dollar you donate will be 10 votes. So, so Jaden Williams had a couple of those. But talking about an incredible individual performance from him as a wide receiver, by the way. So he does a little bit of everything, by the way. running the ball, 5
Debo.
carries for 43 yards and 1 rushing touchdown running the football. 3 catches, 79 yards, 2 receiving touchdowns. Okay. So he has 3 touchdowns already. Then he sealed the game with a game-winning interception against Salmon. So final score was 34-28. So he scored 3 touchdowns on offense and sealed the game with a game-winning and game-sealing interception. So that is a very impressive individual performance that I actually voted for as well. That was one of my votes too. Went towards that performance, but man, that was very impressive to pretty much lead the way and get your team a big win at the end of the season.
Yeah, he was awesome. I think this is a great example of one of the performances that I kind of opened the show with, where it's one of those games where Chalmette's in the playoffs, but I believe they were one of the lowest seeds, so they very well might have needed to win this game to make the playoffs. And this might be one of their last chances to have one of these like spectacular individual performances as they go up against one of the high seeds in their playoff bracket. And so he made that, he took that chance and he made it count with an unbelievable individual performance. Because if he's on the field in that high leverage situation, he's playing 2 ways. He's doing it probably most of the game, maybe the whole game, making a huge presence felt on offense with 100 total yards and 10 touches, 3 touchdowns. That's a solid performance. But the game sealing interception at the same time, he is inevitable in that game, ultimately. And so that is absolutely not just deserving of being a finalist for Player of the Week, but also, if that's where your vote's going, that is completely understandable, because they're not, the numbers aren't super gaudy, but you think about 3 touchdowns and an interception, that's really impressive. And it's really, really impactful to win the game and maybe even send Chalmette to the playoffs. That is a Player of the Week worthy performance.
Yeah, it is. I mean, congratulations to Jaden on a great performance for sure, and hopefully they get to pick up some more of those in the playoffs. And we go in our top 5. Like I said, not too many out-of-state nominations this week, but we do have another one inside our top 5. We talked about Mississippi earlier. That saying by Luke Combs, ain't no love in Oklahoma, but there's some love in Oklahoma for gridiron football in our top 5. Alex, who tells us who crafts our top 5.
At number 5, we have DJ Jackson with 730 votes.
Yeah, DJ Jackson, actually, this is his second straight appearance on this list, and he is starting to make a mark for gridiron football. After having Oklahoma last week, we get him back this week, and that's over at Tulsa East Central High School in Oklahoma, in Tulsa, Oklahoma. Donovan Jackson, he's one of those DJ for short. He's one of those hybrid type of players, wide receiver, tight ends. And yeah, if you're a guy, athletic, big guy like that, just throw him the football. I mean, I think that's pretty smart to do, I would say. But he had 14 catches, Alex. That's a high catch number for a wide receiver. 14 catches, 181 yards, 2 touchdowns. He's also doing his Jaden Williams impersonation here, because he also had 6 carries for 41 yards and a rushing touchdown, had an interception on defense, and he also, like Jaden, scored the game-winning play, made the game-winning play. This time, it was a game-winning touchdown in overtime in a 28-25 win over Coweta High School. DJ Jackson has really impressed over the last couple of weeks, and he makes our top 5 this week for gridiron football. And that is another like Jaden Williams, just an all-around impactful performance.
So I'm trying to remember. I wasn't on the show last week, so it's not quite in my memory as well, because I think we had 2 players from the same team make it last week.
Yep, that's it. That's it.
Was he the guy that had just the scoop and score and the game-winning pick last week, or was that the other player?
They had a quarterback and him. And he scored a bunch of
touchdowns. This is the second straight week where he is making a game-winning play. Just these huge high-impact plays and being the difference in this team winning games. And I don't know how the Oklahoma playoff schedule looks like. These might have both been playoff games for all we know. Maybe this was a playoff game. We don't know what the situation is. So these are, at the very least, these are end of the season, high impact, probably district games that maybe decide district standings. And so for him to go out in these high leverage games and just make these huge plays, even if the box score, like, he's not putting up 7 touchdowns, he's not putting up 400 yards or whatever. Regardless, this is what a player of the week is, because it doesn't come in. It's not just one box that a player of the week performance looks like. It is being the difference in your team winning the game. And that's what he has been for 2 straight weeks, making the highest leverage plays in high leverage games for this team to win. So congratulations to DJ Jackson for back-to-back player of the week finalist nominations.
And I believe Oklahoma is in their last week of the regular season, like Louisiana is. So
okay, so it's the last 2 weeks.
A big district game.
So they're big district games.
Yeah. Yep, right. But that could sum up pretty good in the playoffs. That's back-to-back wins for them as well, and back-to-back appearances for DJ Jackson for the Gridiron Football Player of the Week list. Number 4, we're going to go to a guy we actually met at our Gridiron Football Media Days before the start of the season. Alex, tell us who is at number 4.
At number 4, we have Hayden Alonso with 810 votes.
Yeah, it's been a tough season on the field for Archbishop Hannon this year, just because they haven't won. They actually won 1 game this year. They're 1-9, but they are in the playoffs, so we'll see how that goes. But it's been a tough season on the field. But a guy who's been consistently playing really hard and putting up gaudy numbers week in and week out, no matter what, has been Hayden Alonso. He's had himself a great senior season, a great individual senior season. I mean, this is like Hayden Alonso numbers each and every week. I mean, I know he tags us a whole lot of Gridiron Football, and we keep up with it, and it's just week after week of big-time performances, but which is really impressive. It's really impressive just doing that week in and week out at the wide receiver position. But Hayden Alonso this week had 7 catches, 183 yards, and 3 touchdowns. Very impressive individual effort against the number 1 seeded team in Franklinton. A team has had a great season this year, and he had a 3-touchdown game against those Demons that have been so good this year. And I bet you I asked Coach Salter Maggio, that, yeah, that Hayden Alonso kid gave us some problems in that football game. And that's just another incredible game for Hayden Alonso, and just he's been doing this all season long, no matter what's been going on from a team standpoint.
So I actually had I got the chance to write an article about him a few weeks ago during the season, and getting to watch some of his plays, it genuinely looks like it's a man amongst boys.
Yeah,
it is genuinely some of the funniest film to watch, because the team's not very good. This is they might have squeaked in the playoffs in their bracket.
They're playing St. Michael, I believe.
I think so, but they're probably not going to make a deep run in the playoffs. Sorry to Archbishop Hannon. So this is another one of those teams that is one of the last chances for a guy like this. It's also sort of a lifetime achievement award in some ways, because we haven't talked about him a lot on this show. This might be his first appearance, but he's been doing this all season.
Yeah,
he's been doing this all season, and he has been awesome all season. Big one of the lone bright spots for a relatively rough Archbishop Hannon year. But for him to be able to just he's awesome. Like last year, it was the opposite situation, where a lot of his film looked great, but he actually wasn't producing that much. But he has a 1,000-yard season this year, a bunch of touchdowns, and he is great, and he needs more attention. And that is my own opinion. Like I said, I got a chance to write an article about him. I got a chance to talk to him both at our media day and in an interview with him for the article. He is great. He is a tall player, loves those contested catches, those go balls, where he just when it comes to like outrunning someone, being open, ball tracking, all of that stuff, going up and getting it, like, because he also plays basketball, going up and getting it like it's a rebound. He is like the perfect go ball receiver, those vertical receivers. He is awesome. He'll be a great player at the college level, whoever decides to give him an offer.
Well, absolutely, for sure, Alex. And so that was a great performance for Hayden Alonso, like you mentioned. We have to recognize him not only for his game, but the season that he's had this year. And we go into our top 3, so we go into the big numbers here in terms of the voting. So, Alex, tell us who makes our top 3 this week.
At number 3, we have Quentin Wilson with 2,904 votes.
Yeah, Quentin Wilson plays for, like we talk about Booker T. Washington. There's two. There's one in Shreveport, one in New Orleans here. We talk about Woodlawn. There's one in Shreveport, but one in Baton Rouge. This is the one in Shreveport. Quentin Wilson is a running back, and they play Booker T. Washington, by the way, in Shreveport. And so a lot going on there. But Quentin Wilson had a lot of carries, man. I mean, we talk about bell cow and having a lot of carries. Quentin Wilson had 38 carries, just a hair under 40. That's like talking about Derrick Henry, Alabama carry numbers when we're talking about Quentin Wilson. 38 carries, 293 yards, and 2 touchdowns. Also caught a touchdown from 17 yards out. And like we talked about earlier with Bryce Wilkerson, he scored 3 of the 4 touchdowns in a close game. Here, Quentin Wilson scores 3 of the 4 touchdowns in a close game when they needed it, when it was 28-24 win over Woodlawn, the Knights up there, Woodlawn and Shreveport. Quentin Wilson putting the team on his back and leading Woodlawn to a victory.
Yeah, we talked about some of there are 2 different ways to really make a big mark as a running back, right? And make, be in consideration for this. One of them is like the efficiency game. We talked about one of them earlier with like a 15 carry, 270-yard game where that's like super efficient, and he also produced a lot. Then there's the volume kind of side of things where maybe the rate basis of it, maybe the like yards per carry doesn't look that impressive, but if you're putting up 38 carries in a game, the entire offense runs through you. And you're the difference in the game, like we've talked about a lot. That's what we're looking for, and so we've talked to we're blue in the face about great running back performances this week, but there is a reason why he got this many votes. He got this much fan support because he absolutely deserved it. He needed the ice bath afterwards. Absolutely. So congratulations to Quentin and everybody over there at Woodlawn in Shreveport. So congratulations to him.
Yeah, absolutely, Alex. Before we go into our number 2 player, because it came down once again, like we've had a lot this year, a battle between 1 and 2, and again, it came up that way. But I want to say thank you to everybody that's going out and voted as much as they could and support their athletes, support their player. We also got donations for votes as well. Now, it comes from a good cause. All these donations are going to be used for the Gridiron Football All-American Bowl game, which a lot of these players on this list have been invited and have already committed. A lot of them have already committed to a Gridiron Football All-American Bowl game as well. So all the money's being raised for that. We appreciate every single one of y'all that has donated. I believe we've raised about $600, I think, this week. Now, not as high as some other weeks, but we do appreciate the support, and anything helps. So we really do appreciate and thank every one of y'all. So round of applause to everybody that's voted, everybody that's donated. That deserves a round of applause, right? So appreciate everybody and appreciate these 2 communities as well, especially. And we'll make sure that whoever is the runner-up here, that they get covered, and we actually get our writers to write about them too. So, and make sure they get covered. But Alex, tell us who is at number 2 for Gridiron Football Player of the Week.
And yet another really, really close race. At number 2 is Jamon Dyson with 16,883 votes.
Yeah, Slice and Dyson, as Grant Sasher made famous for last year on the Gridiron Football Player of the Week show. Jamon Dyson, this is the first time he may be on this list this year, but he was a Gridiron Football Player of the Week last year. And I know Jules Sumner was making a push like, hey, let's give him another Letterman jacket patch. That Letterman jacket patch is getting lonely, so we give him another one. So they were trying to push and get him another one. They did a great job. It was a great effort by Jules Sumner for sure. They lost by 500 votes, which you might say that's a lot, but it's really not in a broad scheme of things. It's really not. But Jamon Dyson deserves to be on this list. I was pulling for him too to make a list again and get a chance to talk to him because Jules Sumner, by the way, is having himself an incredible season this year. and as they won their first district championship, I think in about 20 years, and they defeated Amite to get there, which is a big time rival in that area. And Jamon Dyson was the reason that got them over the hump. And this is a player, obviously, that we are evaluating and looking at for the Gridiron Football All-American Bowl game for next year because he's still a junior. But this guy is the real deal. But Jamon Slice and Dyson, as we nicknamed him last year, 203 yards rushing on offense. He plays running back and linebacker. 203 yards rushing and a touchdown on offense. On defense, he also had 9 tackles on defense. He plays the whole game both ways, by the way. Offensively, though, the reason why he's on this list is those are good numbers, but the reason he's on this list, he probably made arguably the biggest play in the program's history by scoring a game-winning 2-point conversion to give the Cowboys that district championship over Amy, 29-27. Great kid. Got a chance to talk to him not only last year, but earlier this offseason when we were at one of the 7-on-7 tournaments. I got a chance to interview him as he's representing Tangi Elite on the 7-on-7 circuit earlier this year. But great player. And the Cowboys have a shot at a state championship because of a guy like that running the football, Jamon Dyson. So I hate Cowboy Nation, Cowboy fans, that he comes up just short, but he has won one already last year, and we'll make sure to cover Jamon a lot more times as we can. And there is still an opportunity for Jamon to win a football player of the week this year down the road in the playoffs.
Yeah, this is another player that we might be talking about a few times because Jules Sumner is probably going to be making a deep run. We're sort of expecting them to, especially after what this season has been. I believe you watched them play. Was it Franklinton or was it somebody else?
Yeah, I played against Franklinton. I'm sorry, guys. I'm also the bad luck for y'all this year because I was there for y'all one and only loss. If Coach Courier wants to blame it on somebody, blame it on me because I happen to show up on the only game that y'all lost this year. But
But so Jules Sumner, this is a crazy season. They've had multiple overtime thrillers. That Franklinton game, which is one of the best games in Louisiana this year, as well as this one to win the district. This is all about the stakes, the game, the opponent. Amy's a really good team. It was for the district championship. One of the best games this year. Considering the stakes of the game and the play that he made, that 2-point conversion to win the game, it's all about that. And it's not like the rest of the performance was nothing. 200, alone 203 yards, 1 touchdown, right?
Right,
1 touchdown, 203 yards, 1 touchdown, and 9 tackles. He's good, but probably wouldn't really be in consideration for player of the week. But it's really about that 2-point conversion. It's a really good performance alongside the play that has defined the Jules Sumner season. Everything they were building towards this season, leading to winning the district championship in a sensational fashion for a team that was wanting this all year. They're not done yet. They want to make a run to the Dome. But this is a huge stepping stone for that team and for that program. And for him to be able to do that and for him to be the leader, the guy leading this team into a district championship win like this, and potentially a deep run in the state championship, playing both ways, that is incredible. An incredible story, an incredible play. Congratulations to him. They came up just short this week, but there's still plenty of time to make up for that. So congratulations to Jamon Dyson. Absolutely.
And Jamon Dyson will have more opportunities. And actually, the guy who did win, also this was his last opportunity this year because this team that was number 1 did not make the playoffs. So this was also helped us a little bit. But we won't go to our number 1 Gridiron Football Player of the Week. And I'm sure y'all use process of elimination if y'all were following it really closely. But Alex, drum roll, please, as we have our number 1 Player of the Week. Alex, who is it for a regular season finale?
At number 1, the Week 10 Gridiron Football Player of the Week is Kobe Vital with 17,434 votes.
And Kobe Vital was vital to the team's performance. Yeah, that's another one. Yep. I'm pretty good at this, but yeah, I'm gonna just have to say congratulations, Abbeville. Round of applause. Awesome job. 17,434 votes. Great job. Great job of supporting your young athlete as well. I know it's
Hmm.
been a tough season. Actually, this was
Yeah, really tough.
0-10 season this year for Abbeville, but it is
They
good
didn't even win the game.
season on top, at least on our gridiron football player
Yeah.
poll, at least that way. So congratulations to Abbeville, 17,434 votes. But his performance was also good enough to be on this list. So here's the situation with Kobe Vital. He's only a sophomore quarterback. And the future is really bright, by the way. And I'm going to go into the specifics more. But they played a really good ERAF football team. They
Really
lost.
good.
Yeah, that's a number 2 seed.
Number 2 CD ref.
Number 2 seed ERAF with one loss this year. And that one loss was to Vermilion Catholic, by the way. And that was a touchdown loss to Vermilion Catholic. So that's a good ERAF football team they played. And they probably put up their best performance of the season. They lost 42-28. But Kobe Vital scored all 4 touchdowns in that football game. They lost 42-28, but we do accept like if you lose and you go off like that, you definitely deserve to be an individual like a player of the week
Vecchio
nominee.
Ruffin.
You deserve like the Vecchio Ruffin we talked about earlier.
Arlen Berry. Pop
Arlen
Houston
Berry.
a few weeks
We
ago.
had a lot of examples of it throughout the year. This time we had somebody that actually won a Gridiron Football Player of the Week.
Yeah.
But Kobe had 315 yards passing, 3 touchdowns through the air, 79 yards rushing, and another touchdown on the ground. He pretty much had 400 yards of offense and 4 touchdowns. And that
Very
is a
close to it, yeah.
quarterback. And Jonathan Zenon, LSU fans should remember this name. He actually had a pick six, one of the most famous plays in LSU football history in the SEC championship game back in 2007 to beat Tennessee. He had the pick six. He's the head football coach at Abbeville, so we get a chance to talk to Coach Zenon and also get a chance to talk to Kobe as well. But a little background on it is that Kobe's just really started playing quarterback. So I know it's 0-10 season this year, but I know Abbeville fans are really excited about next year because he just started playing quarterback. He's a basketball guy, tall, athletic, can run and throw. And he was asking coach to try out and play some quarterback, and they started playing him the last couple of weeks, and he's been playing really good. But threw for 230 yards in the first half alone. So I mean, like he was just a really good performance. 315 yards passing, 79 yards rushing, 4 touchdowns. If that is the sign, more things to come.
Yeah,
Great start for Kobe Vital.
it's the best performance Abbeville's had all season. It's against a really good ERAF football team, and the future's really, really bright if this is what we're looking at in the future. This is the thing I was alluding to at the beginning of the episode, where there are some players that this might be their best shot, this might be their only shot left at making player of the week, at winning player of the week. And so as much as Jamon Dyson coming up short is unfortunate, and we'll see if he can get back here in future weeks. He's going to have more chances. This is Abbeville. This is Kobe Vital's final chance.
Yep.
And for this season, of course, he's going to have chances in future years.
Right.
They went 0-10. They lost the game. They are not going to be in the playoffs. But he put up a performance worthy of Player of the Week because he was the reason this was 42-28 and not 42-7. Right,
42-0, really,
or even 42-0. I mean, he scored all 4 of the touchdowns, but someone else would be playing quarterback if he wasn't playing. So
Yeah.
Anyway, point is, maybe it wouldn't be 42-0, but 42 to a lot less than 28 at the very least. But he is. It might be the difference in a program and a team that could be in an upward trajectory.
Yeah,
in
have
the
some
future.
confidence. Right.
Having some confidence going into the offseason, and that matters. It matters a lot for a team like that. And to be able to go into the offseason with a player that you can build around. Like, he's a
Yeah.
sophomore this year.
Right.
And what a story, right? He didn't really even start playing football, start playing quarterback until now. And he is giving Erath, a team that has a first round, they're not playing next week either, but for a completely different reason. They have a first round bye.
Yeah.
Giving a team like that could make a run in the state championship a problem, real problems, that is huge. So congratulations to Kobe. You're going to get a chance to talk to him for Player of the Week. It's a great ending to a season that people are going to want to forget for Abbeville, but it is really, really deserving. It's an amazing performance. So congratulations to Kobe. Congratulations to everyone over there at Abbeville. Lots of fan support that was needed for this. It shows the community maybe building around him, and that I think is really promising.
Yeah, you would think 0-10, not a lot of support, but that really speaks volumes about the Abbeville community. Everybody going out and supporting him, despite not having a win this year, and having something positive as well to build on, and having something like Player of the Week. When you have that momentum towards the end of the season. It's 0-10, but it feels like the sky is. I mean, the sun is going to shine the next day.
Yeah.
What to say? So, great job, Kobe! Congratulations on winning Gridiron Football Player of the Week, and don't worry, everybody. There's still more chances for the people that have not won Gridiron Football Player of the Week. There will be more chances in the playoffs, even though the regular season's done. We're still continuing the Player of the Week nominations each week. So, same song and dance. We'll have nominations open on Saturday for coaches and fans to nominate. And then on Monday at noon, it will close. We'll talk about the Player of the Week as well. And then we'll list our final nominees on Tuesday morning. Voting will start on Tuesday morning, and it will go through Thursday morning as well. As you're watching the show, watching the results live, you can also go to our website, gridironfootballusa.com. There we'll have more of the results, a breakdown of all the performances that made it this week. So go to gridironfootballusa.com. And in case anybody's wondering, what does Kobe get for winning Player of the Week? He'll get an interview with me and alongside Coach Zenon as well to break down that performance even further. And then also he gets this Letterman jacket patch. We got them in the mail. This was last year's. This is 2023. But this is the Letterman jacket patch he would get. It says Gridiron Football National Player of the Week 2024. And also you'll get compete for the yellow one, which is the Gridiron Football National Player of the Year as well. So, Alex, any final thoughts on the Player of the Week in Week 10 as we recap the regular season? We got 10 winners, and we have a chance for another 5. 5 left down the road.
Yeah, we're down. We're through the regular season, but we're kind of just getting through down the stretch of the final episodes for the show. As the competition gets steeper, the teams get more difficult, and the sample size gets smaller. It'll be very exciting to see what these performances end up looking like in the future. What the bar ends up looking like from a pure number standpoint might end up getting a lot lower, but the performances, like the magnitude of the performance, the importance of the performance, might get a lot higher. So I think that'll be really interesting to see as we keep going through this in these final 5 weeks. So I'm really excited for it. I've been enjoying it all season. I can't wait for what we get to see next week.
Absolutely, Alex. Well said. Looking forward to catching you next week about it. And then also, if you want to follow our Louisiana High School football bracket breakdowns, they're on our YouTube channel as we speak. Actually, they're posted earlier in the day too. So go ahead and go enjoy this and go enjoy those segments. And also, this is like premiered live, but you can go back and watch the show if you want to go back and watch all the show, the highlights that are at Mo. I've done a great job of putting together and putting the show together as well. See all the highlights Mo has put up and cut up for the show as well. So yeah, make sure to like this channel, make sure to subscribe, share it out, and always go to our website as well, gridironfootballusa.com. Also continue to donate. We're continuing to ask for donations. So any support of the Gridiron Football All-American Bowl game would be great because it will help us continue to support these kids and promote these players as well. So for Alex Allison, I am Jason Zern from Gridiron Football. And we'll check y'all next week for another edition, postseason edition of the Gridiron Football Player of the Week show.